Kansas City, long considered a flyover city, but not for long. Come join me in two of the largest parks of the area.
So we come to a place in the park that will allow us a view of part of Kansas City. Nice open area. It's just a beautiful fall day along Pennsylvania in Loose Park. So for those of you that aren't familiar with the Missouri and Kansas history here in Loose Park.
The Battle of Westport was the largest and one of the last battles to occur west of the Mississippi River in the Civil War. Local historians sometimes refer to this battle as the Gettysburg of the West because of the battle's similarities to the Confederate strategy. The battles of Westport and Gettysburg were both planned by the Confederate War Department as a means of taking the war to the Union-controlled areas in hopes of rallying Southern sympathizers. The largest stage of the Battle of Westport took place on October 23, 1864, when soldiers fought along a mile front that included modern-day Loose Park. The Union outnumbered their invading enemy 2-1 and easily took control of the situation of the three-day battle. Union troops were able to open up two fronts on the Confederate invaders, quickly breaking the lines, which forced them to retreat into the territory of Arkansas. Small contingents of Union troops attempted to capitalize on their successes and captured the retreating Confederate soldiers. In the decade that followed, the land where Loose Park is now located became home to Kansas City Country Club, one of the city's first country club. Developer J.C. Nichols bought the land surrounding the club to create the Country Club Plaza as a single-family home, and business moved into the area. The country club moved to the location on Kansas City side of the growing community. This land was sold to Ella Luce, who wanted to create a park on the site to honor her husband. Kansas City's municipal rose garden in Loose Park is the realization of a dream that began in 1931 when a group of citizens, under the leadership of Laura Conyers Smith, established the Kansas City Rose Society. The first garden contained 120 rose plants. Today, there are roughly 3,000 roses of nearly 150 different varieties in the 1.5-acre garden. The Rose Garden has been maintained through a partnership of the Kansas City Rose Society and the Kansas City, Missouri Board of Parks and Recreation Commissioners. The Rose Society furnishes all the roses, while park employees provide ongoing care. In addition, Rose Society members volunteer hundreds of hours each year to assist the Loose Park staff with pruning the garden. The garden's circular plan was the concept of famous landscape architect S. Herbert Hare. In 1965, the garden was officially named the Laura Conyers Smith Municipal Rose Garden. As you can see, there are many different varieties, and obviously there are hundreds of weddings held here every year. park contains a Japanese tea garden, shelters, and many wide open spaces. After a long walk in the park with the dogs, heading back to Brookside felt wonderful. It is a quaint location of neighborhoods, and it makes up one of the portions of the country club Plaza district. As a pet sitter, walking in this neighborhood is like winning the lottery. Walking along the large tree-lined streets, punctuated with fountains, is a delight. Kansas City is named the City of Fountains for a reason. Large, architecturally magnificent homes line the streets, each one different from the next. From the roof of the Hemingway building in the plaza, you get a gorgeous view of the entire plaza. 15 blocks of shopping and dining with hundreds of stores and 30 restaurants and amazing architecture. Opened in 1923, it was the first planned suburban shopping center. Dining and shopping in Brookside is delightful, filled with local eateries as well as well-trusted favorites. Kansas City has a heart competition every summer. Once the hearts are made and they are donated, they are then auctioned off. Here stands one of those hearts. It depicts major landmarks in Kansas City. Local Starbucks wall, the local children's school. Many areas of Brookside are open and dogs are very welcomed with water bowls everywhere. Local stores depict the time of year with great decorations. The barrio has the best salsa and street corn for a local eatery. I suggest you trying it out when you are in Brookside. Swope Park is Kansas City's largest park at over 1,800 acres. It is the 51st largest park in the United States and the largest park in Kansas City. It is named in honor of Colonel Thomas H. Swope, a philanthropist who donated the land to the city in 1896. Most of the park is heavily wooded, as you see on the trail. You wouldn't believe that you're just minutes away from civilization. The developed areas include major destinations such as Starlight, an outdoor theater that brings in Broadway shows, comedies, and musicals, the Swope Soccer Village Sports Complex, the Kansas City Zoo, and the Lakeside Nature Center, one of Missouri's largest native species rehabilitation facilities. It also houses the Swope Memorial Golf Course. In the 60s and 70s, there was a nature camp, and you can see remnants from the buildings of those from all over the trails. Swope was a Yale graduate with money to invest, and he came west in 1855 as the Kansas Territory opened and settled in Kansas City in 1857. He began purchasing property here and would later go on to become the largest individual landowner in Kansas City. Mr. Swope was called Colonel Swope, but that was literally an honorary title and not for military service. Swope's sudden illness and death happened under mysterious circumstances, as did the death of several in his family. Swope was known to be mild-mannered and self-conscious and was a lifelong bachelor. Swope's last days were preoccupied with how to bestow his wealth. His real estate alone was worth $3.5 million. In the last days, Swope was sometimes treated by the Dr. Bennett Clark Hyde, who had married one of his nieces. Just shy of his 82nd birthday by 18 days, Colonel Swope died suddenly in his sister-in-law's home with Dr. Hyde in attendance. This was after a perplexing and brief and violent illness. 3 months after Swope's death, Dr. Hyde came under suspicion and was charged with murder. Colonel Swope was exhumed and an autopsy performed, which showed his body contained lethal amounts of both strychnine and cyanide. ending a fun week in Kansas City's iconic area of Brookside and the Plaza. Finish with a hot bubble bath and a glass of wine. Celebrate a gorgeous fall time in the iconic area of Kansas City. Don't fly over. It's a beautiful area. You'll enjoy every minute. Here's to you, Kansas City, and stay tuned.